Good morning, Unity. All right. You'll know this song, so join us on any of the parts you'd like to.
Than I ever been lifted before. So keep it up, quench my desire, and I'll be at your side forevermore. I said your love keeps lifting me up, lifting me up higher and higher. I said your love keeps lifting me up higher and higher. I was broken down and hearted. Disappointment was my closest friend. And then you came along now and then soon he departed. You know he never showed his face again. I think your love keeps lifting me higher and higher. I said your love keeps lifting me up higher and higher. I'm so glad that I found you, darling. Yes, you're one million girl. Oh, when I wrap my arms all around you, honey, I can stand up and face the world. I got your love keeps lifting me higher and higher. I said your love keeps lifting me up higher and higher. I said your love keeps lifting me up higher and higher. I said your love keeps lifting me up higher and higher.
Here we go.
Oh, give some love to our music team. Aren't we blessed? All right. There you go. No. Oh, good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Cheryl Myers, and it is my absolute joy to be here with you on this snowy, beautiful campus this Sunday morning. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And so we are in the midst of our season for peace and nonviolence. And if you don't know what that is, it's explained in your bulletin. And this is our 64 ways for 64 days. If you don't have a copy, it's out in the lobby in the little information center next to the front door. And each day there's a focus. So today's focus is today I will turn off anything that portrays or supports violence, whether on television, in the movies, or on the internet. Very good. And so we are also celebrating Black History Month. And every single Sunday, we are celebrating a hero. There's so many. But today we are celebrating Thurgood Marshall. And Lorna will now come up and read about Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall was the first African American to serve on the Supreme Court. Born in Baltimore in 1908, Marshall earned his undergraduate degree from Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and later obtained a law degree from Howard Law School in Washington, D.C. Thurgood Marshall became chief counsel for the NAACP in 1936, and throughout his distinguished career, he helped advance many decisions that led to the expansion of civil rights. In 1954, Marshall successfully argued before the Supreme Court in the historic Brown versus Brown of Education case, ending segregation in public schools. Overall, Thurgood Marshall won 29 of the 32 cases he argued before the Supreme Court. In 1967, President Lyndon B. Johnson nominated Marshall for the Supreme Court, where he served until 1991. He died on January 24th, 1993, at the age of 84. Here is a quote from Thurgood Marshall. "Where you see wrong or inequality or injustice, speak out, because this is your country. This is your democracy. Make it, protect it, pass it on." Thank you, Thurgood Marshall, for the extraordinary way you shined your light in the world.
So let's just take a deep breath. And breathe in that energy of an extraordinary human being. Extraordinary because he took a stand. And he used his wisdom and his light and his strength to make a difference. And that wisdom and that strength, that perseverance is what we all are. And so this morning at Unity of Gaithersburg, we celebrate your presence here. We're so glad you're here because this time would not be the same without you. And so I just invite you as you are here to just breathe into your heart and open your heart and set a silent intention to leave here blessed and uplifted, knowing more fully the truth of what you are as a divine, magnificent being. So we just breathe into that intention. And we just feel our hearts overflowing for spiritual community, for this beautiful campus, for this time together. And so it is. Amen. Amen. So if you would like to know Unity of Gaithersburg vision and mission, it's printed on the back of your bulletin. You can take a look at that. And so I'd like to know if you are here with us for the very first time. So if there's anyone here for the very first time, if you would just raise your hand really nice and tall and keep it raised, and our ushers and greeters will come and bring you a welcome packet, and you can fill out the card on the front and place it in the offering bag, and we'll just simply add your email, if you'd like, to our Friday afternoon online newsletter that tells you everything that's going on here. And we've got a lot going on that you'll hear about real soon. All right, let's stand and sing a congregational song.
One life living as you and me, one life shining as you Take
moment.
this time to greet your neighbors. And if you make your way back to your seats,
Please make your way back to your seats.
I'm shining from the inside out. I'm so happy. I just wanna shout. Woo! One life living as you and me. One life shining as you and me. One life loving as you and me. 'Cause love is all there is. One life living as you and me. One life shining as you and me. One life loving as you and me. 'Cause love is all there is.
Please be seated.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Lorna Dixon. This week's transformational opportunities are detailed in our community newsletter. Receive next week's edition by sharing your email with us. And now, if you'll take a moment to completely silence your cell phone. Thank you. The season for peace and nonviolence is now underway. Check your bulletin and our website and newsletter for details of the activities that are happening here at Unity of Gaithersburg. Here's what's in store. Reverend Sherrill will lead a 6-week book study of Brene Brown's most recent book, Braving the Wilderness, starting this Wednesday night, February 21st through March 28th from 7:15 to 9:15 p.m. here in the sanctuary, and this is offered for a love offering. Carol Plummer and Heidi Vanderwald will be leading an all-day workshop here at Unity of Gaithersburg called Finding Peace in Turbulent Times. This is offered this coming Saturday, February 24th, from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. in the Quay House. The cost is $85 before Tuesday, February 20th, and $110 after. Register on our website or online newsletter. Exuberant minister, speaker, and workshop facilitator, Reverend Raymond Anderson, will lead the workshop, The Lesson of the Tea Master, after Sunday service, March 4th from 1 to 3 p.m. Come learn how to practically apply spiritual teachings to develop mastery of your life. Register online. This also is offered for a love offering, which there's a suggested amount of $20. Lynn May and Edie Crane will be hosting an intercultural cafe on Sunday, March 11th from 7 to 9 p.m. There will be music, readings, and discussion, along with a potluck dessert, offered for a love offering. See you there. Our second annual Big Spring Prosperity Fling online auction is on the horizon, folks. Yay, yay. So be thinking about what you can donate. Talk to friends, relatives, and your favorite business owners about making donations as well. And The sky is the limit, really. Use your imagination, folks. We're all so excited about this, so let's do it this year. Again, even bigger. So some suggestions. A weekend at your annual timeshare. Pet sitting, singing lessons, hosting a lunch and hike at Sugarloaf Mountain, a gift certificate to your favorite business, theme gift baskets. Explore your creativity to see what you can offer. Bidding is the week of April 20th to 29th. More details are coming soon. So start thinking, folks. Start creating. On Sunday, February 25th, this is next Sunday, right after service, we will have a community meeting where we will hear from your Board of Trustees and Reverend Cheryl about what's unfolding here at Unity of Gaithersburg. Your attendance and loving consciousness is appreciated. I look forward to seeing you there. And now, please center yourselves as we prepare and reflect together on today's daily word. Our focus today is spiritual perspective. The affirmation is, I see myself from a higher vantage point. Tethering my life to the way I have always thought does not serve me well. Can we say that together? Tethering my life to the way I have always thought does not serve me well. Instead, I release the stronghold of the past. I rise above limited points of view and experience the freedom of a broader perspective. My awareness expands, clouds of confusion clear away, and I see beyond any obstacles. From a higher vantage point, I see myself as the divine being I truly am. I recognize that I have unlimited choices to co-create my world and the ability to choose wisely and pursue new possibilities. I am courageous and strong. As I rise to higher awareness, my new perspective gives me clear direction. Inspired, I allow myself to heal, prosper, and soar beyond all limitations. I claim my true spiritual identity. Nothing is greater than this. All is well. And a reminder from Psalm 144:7. I am set free and rescued from the mighty waters. And now let us prepare for meditation by singing All Is Well.
As I close my eyes and the world disappears, I can feel my breath rise and fall. There's a light inside that dispels all my fears, and I hear a gentle voice calling, all is well. 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 Mm-hmm.
if you have not already done so, I encourage you, if you feel comfortable, just to gently close your eyes and to take a deep breath. And as you breathe deeply, just sink your body into the chair beneath you and allow it to fully support you. And this is our time to turn our attention away from outer things and concerns and to turn inward, to access in our awareness the strength and the wisdom and the light and infinite life we are. So I invite you to breathe into your heart space. Just focus your breath in and out of your heart and just feel it opening. Just gently shift your attention to the movement of the breath in and out of your heart space. And as you breathe into your heart space, you unleash into your awareness infinite love. Infinite wisdom. And from that focused breath into the heart space, we awaken all of our spiritual faculties. Our courage, our strength, our imagination. And so we call these faculties forth as we begin to bring to our mind's eye something in your life right now that might feel bigger than you. A situation. Maybe it's the situation that just happened in Florida, in the school. Maybe it's other things happening in our country right now and in our world. Or maybe it's something that's happening in your personal life. And so just bring that to mind and just notice your experience. And so in this time of stillness and inward reflection, I invite you to breathe the energy of whatever is feeling bigger than you. Breathe it into your heart. Breathe it into your heart energy of love, of wisdom, and light. And as you breathe this situation into your heart space, no, it will not hurt your heart because you're imbuing it with truth. There is nothing more powerful than the infinite love and life and wisdom and strength, divinity that we are. Just keep breathing the energy of whatever it is in your life that has felt or is feeling bigger than you. Just breathe it into your heart space. And in your mind's eye, see it illumined with divine light, love, wisdom, And notice how that feels for you. And so as we move now into a time of silence, I invite you to continue working with whatever it is that came to your mind's eye initially that feels bigger, or if there's anything else in your life that you're working with. Just breathe its energy into your heart space and feel it imbued with light, with love, infinite life and wisdom in the silence. I just invite you, as you leave here today and for the remainder of the time you are here today, to remember this tool for peace, for clarity, and for groundedness. That whenever the outer world feels bigger than we are, the truth lives in our heart. Nothing is more powerful than the infinite life and love and wisdom that we are. And when we harness that together in community, what changes we can make in the external world that reflect love and oneness. So take a deep breath in your heart. Thank you for the light you shine. And so it is. Amen.
I move through my day, feeling lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. I move
more love. Well, there was an archaeologist that was digging in the Negev desert in Israel and came upon a casket containing a mummy. After examining it, he called the curator of a prestigious natural history museum. He said, "I've just discovered a 3,000-year-old mummy of a man who died of heart failure." The excited scientist exclaimed, to which the curator replied, "Bring him in. We'll check it out." So a week later, the amazed curator called the archaeologist. "You were right about the mummy's age and cause of death. How in the world did you know?" "Easy. There was a piece of paper in his hand that said 10,000 shekels on Goliath." We're going to learn more about that story as we go, I promise. Oh, you keep encouraging me, So, okay. So we're in the season for peace and nonviolence, as you've heard. And so last week was Random Acts of Kindness Week. So how'd you do? How'd you do extending kindness? And remember, we talked about if there was a person in your life that had really made a difference for you, that you were going to seek that person out. Did you seek that person out? Okay, so remember, I think I'm now going to call this hallway over here the happenings hallway. And so there's a bulletin board that's interactive out there, a small bulletin board, and it says, "Where did you extend kindness?" Would you fill out a sticky note after service, and just so we can just share in your joy together? That would be so great. Okay. All right. So, every week, and sometimes before, the week before, but this week I was like, what am I going to talk about this week? And it's a season for peace and nonviolence. And what came to me was the story of David and Goliath, which is very far from being nonviolent. Yeah, so I was struggling with it because here we are in the season for peace and nonviolence. But as I kept going inward, what I got was, let's go on this journey together, and let's see what it can mean for us today in expressing peace and nonviolence. So you ready? You want to go on this journey? Let's review the story, okay? So I'm going to tell this story. It's from 1 Samuel chapter 17. And so I'm going to go in and out of the biblical words and my narrative, okay? Which you'll be able to tell. Yeah. So... Now the Philistines gathered their armies for battle. King Saul and the Israelites gathered and formed rank against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on the mountain on one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, with a valley in between them. And there came out from the camp of the Philistines a champion named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. And that's approximately 9 feet, 3 inches tall. Yeah. He had a helmet of bronze on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail. And mail is a long defensive garment made of interlinked metal rings. You're getting this picture. Yeah. Made of, the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze, and that's 125 pounds approximately. He had greaves of bronze on his legs, protective leg armor, and a javelin of bronze slung between his shoulders. And the shaft of this spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, approximately 40 pounds. And his shield bearer went before him. He stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why have you come up to draw up to battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves, and let him come to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us." When Saul and all of Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. For 40 days, the Philistine came forward and took his stand, morning and evening. So let me give you some background. The Philistines were an aggressive people who occupied part of southwest Palestine from about 1200 to 600 BCE. They were Israel's chief foes and had superior weapons of iron. And during the time of Samuel, this was before King Saul, they had actually captured the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the Ark of the Covenant was a big deal because in it contained the 2 stone tablets containing the 10 Commandments, which was the basis of the covenant between God and his people. So since this warring time, they had moved into the Israelites' territory and were greatly feared. Okay, so back to the story. So David was a shepherd, and he was the youngest of 8 sons, whose father was Jesse from Bethlehem in Judah. The 3 oldest sons had joined King Saul on the battlefield to fight the Philistines. Jesse was concerned about his sons, so he sent David to go bring them food and report back to him how they were doing. So David left his sheep tending and did what his father asked him to do. He arrived at the encampment as the army was going forth to the battle line, shouting the battle cry. He dropped off the supplies and went to greet his brothers. And as he was talking with them, he heard the giant Philistine Goliath deliver his threat once again. And he noticed how afraid everyone was. So David started asking some questions like, who does this big guy think he is? How does he think that he can defy the army of the living God? And what would be done for this person who brought this guy down? And David was told that whoever brought him down would find great favor with the king, and the king would sanction a marriage with his daughter and make his family free in Israel. It's pretty good stuff. But then David's oldest brother, Eliab, chimes in and says, in an angry way, "Why have you come down here? Who'd you leave the sheep with in the wilderness? I know you. You've only come down here to see the battle." David said, "What have I done now? It was only a question." Little sibling rivalry went we had. But word got out to King Saul that David was ready to go to battle against the Philistine, so he sent for him. And David said to the king, "Your servant will go and fight this Philistine." And Saul said, "But you are just a boy, and this Philistine has been a warrior since he was a child." And David then proceeded to tell the king how he had wrangled with and slain lions and bears to protect his sheep, and that he would do the same thing with this Goliath character because he had defied the armies of the living God. And David said, "The Lord who saved me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will save me from the hand of this Philistine." So Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." So Saul clothed David in armor and a coat of mail, along with a big bronze helmet. He also gave him a sword. Now, David was a little guy, and this garb was so heavy and cumbersome he couldn't even walk. So David said, "Look, man, I'm not used to this. This does not work for me." So he took the garb off, took his staff in his hand, and picked up 5 smooth stones and put them in his shepherd's bag in the pouch. His sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. Now here's the Bible version. When the Philistine grew near to meet David, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. David put his hand in his bag, took out a stone, slung it, and struck the Philistine on his forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So David prevailed over Goliath with a sling and a stone, striking down the Philistine and killing him. There was no sword in David's hand. Then David ran and stood over the Philistine. Then he grabbed a sword, drew it out of his sheath, and killed him. Then he cut off his head. Sorry. See, I told you it was not nonviolent. But we're going to get there. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. The troops of Israel and Judah rose up with a shout and pursued the Philistines and pushed them out of their territory. Okay, there's the story. You remember that story? Yeah, so hence the mummy with the 10 shekels on Goliath. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's dive into the metaphysical meaning. And all the metaphysical meaning is we're just going beyond the literal. Okay, so the first step we're going to do is we're going to look at what the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary says about it. So David, metaphysically means divine love individualized in human consciousness. David represents love grounded in faith, wisdom, and strength. He was strong in his faith, and his love and wisdom informed his choices. Goliath represents dominant, aggressive, error ideas and thoughts run by the senses that parade in our minds prominently, that we give power to. It's when we get stuck in our ego, in our intellect, and arrogance. The Israelites represent our spiritual process. They represent our desire to have illumined thoughts, yet need to be cultivated and disciplined in their knowing of what is true. And the Philistines represent that side of us that refuses to live in spiritual consciousness, but instead focuses on the outer sense world. And the stone is a divine idea. Isn't that fun? Okay, so now let's take this into our lives. Do you ever have days when you struggle from giving your power over to something that feels so much bigger than you? Do you let fear take you over because what's in front of you feels like a huge Goliath-size issue? Do you forget that your love and wisdom and strength individualized in human consciousness? Do you ever have days when people just can't see all that you are, or you yourself can't see all that you are, just like David's older brother? They just can't see your whole potential because they're holding you in the past. Who do you think you are? So see, these are opportunities, folks, for us to stand in our knowing of what we are, in our love, in our faith, to stand strong. Because what we are, the fullness of what we are as divine beings, is bigger than anything out here. See, David modeled love grounded strongly in faith and strength as the appearance of a huge obstacle stood in front of him. See, because to David, it wasn't the truth. To David, divine strength and power was the only reality. How many times do we give power to what is not true, forgetting how powerful we are? Forgetting that we can make a difference. Have you ever had an idea, a vision that people thought was just crazy or impossible, but you just knew it was yours to do, even in the midst of their projected fear, even in the midst of their angst and limited thinking? See, David in this story modeled saying yes in faith regardless of outer appearances. And he did it in his own unique way. So King Saul was going to, load him up with armor and a sword, and he's like, no, that's not mine. That's your way. I'm going to do it my way. Yeah, he didn't need that self-protection. He knew what was his to do. And notice where he aimed the first stone, right here. Yeah, right in the middle of the forehead. Ah, the ego. Remember the ad, I should have had a V8? Where do they hit? Right here. Yeah, I should have gotten out of my head and followed my truth. Yeah, and one divine idea can take down a huge obstacle. Yeah. So, and then of course when he cut off his head, all that is, metaphysically, is we just have to cut off our reliance on living in our head. Yeah. We have to cut off our reliance on our intellect and instead go to our hearts, go to our wisdom, go to our knowing of what we know is true and live from that. Elizabeth Sand Turner was the author of Let There Be Light. It's a classic Unity book that metaphysically interprets the Old Testament. And she said this: in our own personal experience, Goliath represents any huge problem that looms before us for which we have no remedy in the outer. When we meet it in the consciousness of divine knowing, it is solved easily and quickly. So, this week, is there something in your life, something in the news that feels bigger than us, than you? I know I've felt that way in the last week. Seriously. And so this talk just resonated for me to remind myself that nothing in our outer world is greater than the truth of what we are, folks. Nothing. Nothing is bigger than our faith. Nothing is bigger than our wisdom. No obstacle, no limited thinking or perspective or fear around us is too great when we center our awareness in what we are. And when you confront an outer fear or doubt this week, I just invite you to think of David. Don't give power to the outer conversation, circumstance, limitation, but turn within and call forth your knowing. There's a parting perspective. When Goliath came against the Israelites, the soldiers all thought, he's so big, we can never kill him. David looked at the same giant and thought, he's so big, I can't miss. So, folks, we can't miss. We can't miss when we hold our knowing. We can't. Nothing is greater, although it might feel that way in our world right now. Nothing is greater than the divinity you are. And when we come together in like-minded community, there is nothing we can't do. So take a deep breath and let's affirm together, there is nothing outside of me that is bigger than what I am. I stand strong in this truth and do what is mine to do from great love and faith. I soar, and so it is.
And now, this is our time to give from our unlimited abundance and open hearts. As you hold your tithes and offerings in your hand, here is some prosperity wisdom from Discover the Power Within You by Eric Butterworth. Anything you will ever be, you already are. Wow. Wow. I love that. The greatness of the infinite is already you. No matter what obstacle may beset you, there is the seed potential within you of the giant-like man or woman who can conquer and overcome and experience the great abundance of the universe. Let us now affirm our offering blessing. Together, divine love, I am, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I'm so grateful.
Oh, let us turn our thoughts today to Martin Luther King and recognize that there are ties between us, all men and women living on the earth, ties of hope and love, sister and brotherhood. We are bound together in our desire to see the world become a place in which our children can grow free and strong. We are bound together by the task that stands before us and the road that lies ahead. We are bound and we are bound. There is a feeling like the clenching of a fist. It is a hunger in the center of the chest. There is a passage through the darkness and the mist. Though the body sleeps, the heart will never rest. Shed a little light, oh Lord,
so that we can see.
yeah, yeah.
Shed a little light,
Just a little light, oh Lord.
wanna stand it on up,
Standing on up,
stand it on up,
stand on up, Lord.
walking on down.
Gonna shed a little light on me.
Can't get no light from a dollar bill.
Never see me no light from a dollar bill.
Don't give me no light from a TV screen.
No, 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 no.
Look in my eyes, I wanna bring my fear from the well on the hill.
The well on the hill, do you know what I mean?
Shed a little light, oh,
Shed a little light, oh Lord.
so that we can see.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a little light,
Just a little light, oh Lord.
wanna stand it on up,
Standing on up,
stand it
oh
on up.
Lord. Stand on up, Lord.
Wanna walk it on down.
Shed a little light on.
Shed a little light, oh,
Shed a little light, no, 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 no. There is a feeling like the clenching of a fist. It is a hunger in the center of my chest. Oh yes, there is a passage through the darkness and the mist. Though the body sleeps, the heart will never rest. Oh, let us turn our thoughts today to Martin Luther King. Recognize that there are ties between us, all men and women living on the earth, ties of hope and love, sister and brotherhood.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Spirit Sound. Thank you so much, Namaste. Oh, what a joy. All right, let's stand and sing in our youth.
I've got you, I've got me, I've got us coming together. I've got you, coming together. One heart, one mind, one love, coming together, coming together, coming together. Coming together, coming together, coming together, coming together. One love, coming together.
Please be seated.
Everybody. The kids had fun today, and we took pictures, so it was a good time. But they worked some more on beautiful skills on powers, the Unity powers, and also their own greatness and the wholesomeness and the awesomeness that they are. So here they are, telling you all about it.
I'm a strong and independent soul capable of achieving great things.
I I am ready to use my talents to create positive changes in my life.
I can take care of myself without fear of failure.
Peace on earth begins with me.
I love that. Thank you all so much for your support. Thanks to all your love and your generous contribution last week. We made $242 for the children's program. So thank you so much.
Let's stand and bless our children. Together. You are the light of the world. Live as the light. Let's join hands and sing our peace song. Have a beautiful week. And we're going to do something unusual today, but we have someone in our congregation that just bought a brand new car. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a car blessing out in the parking lot in about 10 minutes at 20 after 12 this time. I think this is a little bit fast. And so what you need to do in 10 minutes is come out to the parking lot. Shirley's going to pull up her car right in front. And if you would bring some change or a dollar bill or something, because we're going to bless it financially as well. We're going to bless it. So in 10 minutes, let's gather around Shirley's red Prius out front. Bless you.